Hello, trust you're doing okay. So today I want to talk about the kind of data that we should be keeping, measuring, and analyzing in our business. Now, if you're really interested in building what would be considered an actual business, you must be able to measure data. You must have data that are measurable. You must be able to use data to make some critical decisions in your life. In Nigeria, we are quite big on mysticism, right? Something is not appreciated until it's mysterious. It's easy for those of us that are Christians for people to say, "Oh, I'm successful," and I don't know how it happened. And while that might go for a couple of times in your life, nobody wants to live their life not knowing exactly how something happened or why something happened. I don't think that there's any pride in it. I think that there's some sort of irresponsible living if you have absolutely no explanation as to exactly how your life turned out the way it did. Now, but don't quote me. I'm not a pastor. I'm just an ordinary guy, right? So I want to share with you some really, really important information that you need to start to keep as an entrepreneur, as somebody who's running a business. The first concept that I want to explain, in reality, anything that is not measurable does not exist. That's the truth, right? If you cannot measure certain things in your business, you can't improve it. If you don't know exactly what's happening, how do you make it better? So you must be able to measure a couple of things. And there are 8 things that I want to bring to your attention. Some of them I hope you're already measuring. And if you're not, it's something that you should start to pay a lot of attention to. The first of them is revenue, right? What is revenue? Revenue is how much money that is coming into the business. Now, why is it important to measure revenue? Because revenue is the vote of the market on your decision as a business. Now, you have a product in the market, 10,000 people are buying it. That's because I tell people, the market is the ultimate judge. Doesn't matter what the competitors or whatever it is. No, the market is the ultimate judge. If the market votes for you, what happens? You win. And the reality is that while customers might tell you so many things, right? Customers ultimately vote with their pockets. Sonny did a bit of research about a couple of years ago with the Sony Walkman. In this research, they put a list about 6 different colors of Walkmans, and they've put these focus groups together, and they wanted people to come and do pick which Walkman they would prefer, the color they would most likely buy, and all of that. So people voted. And the instruction was, when you finish voting and you are going home, you are allowed to pick one of the Walkman to go home with. So the results came out and most people picked yellow. Most people picked yellow as the one that they preferred. But when they were going home, most people went home with black, right? So that's to tell you how sometimes we customers are not exactly truthful, or maybe we don't really know what we want. But when it comes to the point where we have to actually pay money, we are almost certain that we only pay money for what we want. So revenue is a judge of how the market sees the decision that we've made as a company. And so what should you collect in terms of revenue? Who's buying? When are they buying? How are they buying? What are they buying? In what channel, in which are they buying? You want to get all that information, because you might have 2, 3, 4 products in the market and realize that certain products are doing better than the others. That is the market voting for or against the product you're putting in the market. So it's very important to measure revenue, and not just in terms of how much money is coming in, which is really good, but also where are they coming from, who's making that decision, and the likes. So the first thing I like to tell people to measure is revenue. Revenue is critical because as far as your business is concerned, right, that is the way the market votes for or against whatever it is that we've made a decision for. The second thing that you need to figure out how to manage, very, very importantly, is cost. Because ultimately, no matter how much money you make, it only matters how much money you keep, right? So you could make ₦1 billion, but spend ₦1 billion and 1 naira to make that amount of money. and it's not such a good, and I use not such because if you could make some losses for a couple of years and then break even, but there has to be a plan, a break-even plan, a profitability plan. It has to make sense. Even Amazon, was able to turn profitable after 20 years. But if it's a recurrent pattern of not managing our costs, then that's bad. And the reason why I want us to track cost is that usually as businesses grow bigger, the tendency that we would get wasteful is a lot more, right? And even for us as a business, we just realized more recently that there's an area of our business that we've been quite wasteful, and we're trying to fix that, and we've tried to fix it, and we've been successful, by the way, but we didn't realize until I had an opportunity to meet with a friend, and I had a session with him, and something that would take us about 4 weeks to do, he was able to get done in about 60 minutes. And I'm like, okay, what's happening here? And I realized that even with us, as we get bigger, what happens is that there's the tendency that we become wasteful. There's a tendency that we lack efficiency. There's a tendency that we throw money at a problem because we have it, and oftentimes that's not always a good thing, right? Most businesses fail not because of how much money the business doesn't make, but because their cost was too high and killed the business. Most businesses die under the weight of recurrent expenditure, right? So you want to check, how much are we spending? Where are we spending it? Could we spend less and get the same results? Could we be more efficient? Could we, and sometimes, being cost effective might mean hiring better quality people so that you have less staff turnover, right? But the reality here is that you have to ensure that you measure costs, right? How much money, not just how much money are we making, which is revenue, it's also how much money are we saving, how much money are we spending, and is that too much or is that not as much, right? Third, is you need to measure leads and conversion rates, right? Leads and conversion rates. What is this? Leads is how many people are having conversation, how many people are we getting into our universe to have conversation with us about our business. And conversion is how many of those conversations become actual sale, right? Because sometimes, it's like you open a shop, for example, maybe 200 people walk into the shop and 5 people buy. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that if it happens tomorrow and the next day and the next day, then we know what the ratio is. We know, okay, good. We need to get 200 people into the store for 5 people to buy, right? So why this is important is that it helps us with our marketing, right? So once we know how many leads we need to generate vis-a-vis how many sale we need to get based on our recurrent conversion rates, it makes our life a little bit easier. It turns what could be mysterious into a mathematical formula, right? If I know that I would get 1 out of every 100, if I want 1,000, if I want 10 people, I get 1,000. If I want 100 people, I get 10,000, and the list goes, on. So it's very, very important for us to be able to measure the leads and conversion, how we convert, and what exactly is happening, what the ratio is. Now, the principle behind this is called the law of averages. So the law of average states that if you do something over and over and over again, a ratio would appear, a pattern would appear. And that pattern is very, very important for us, because if we don't understand what that pattern is, we get frustrated sometimes when we're not supposed to be, right? And we get excited sometimes when we're not supposed to be, right? So for example, imagine if I don't know that 1 out of every 10 people, for example, that I speak with would buy my product, right? I might then get through 8 people and I'm frustrated already. And I wouldn't make the 9th call, I wouldn't make the 10th call. But on the other hand, if I also am not aware, I might call the first person and be overly excited, and then my expectation is over the roof, and then the next 9 people won't buy anything, right? So on the average, it's better to know what your averages are. It's better to know what the pattern is. And to do that, you need to track how many leads are we generating and how many people are buying and what is our conversion rates. The fourth thing that you need to measure is the marketing channel. And what are marketing channels? Marketing channels are the ways by which people get to know us, like us, trust us, right? And I mean, if you are within our community, I have shared multiple times, and we do have content available on marketing channels. So there are about 11 different marketing channels. I'm not going to go into that. We're just talking about how to measure those things now. It's important that you start to measure, and I mean, most people only have 2 or 3. So maybe they do digital ads and maybe they do referrals. There are 11 different marketing channels that I identified. And for example, for us as an organization, every month, at the end of the month, we look at all the business we did in the previous month and we say, okay, how do we attach them to a marketing channel, right? So how did this come? How did that come? And then at the end of the month, we want to say what channel is effective, had been effective for us the last 30 days. What channel is not has been effective for us in the last 30 days? What channel did we put a lot of effort in the last 30 days? What channels did we not put a lot of effort in the last 30 days? So again, maybe a channel works once, twice, and because you don't measure that you're only using 2 channels as opposed to 11 or 20 or 30 that is possibly available to you, you just double down on that one, and then at some point that channel dries up, isn't it? And so your entire marketing team or your entire sales team are like, oh, we don't know what to do, and then we start blaming the government or blaming the economy or blaming something. But it's usually because there's something that we're not paying attention to, or we've narrowed in too much to 1 or 2 channels. So figuring out what your marketing channels are and being able to measure. So every month, if you could do this in your organization, every month, at the end of every month, for example, you want to just write down, where did we get business this month? How did it come? And can we trace that to a particular marketing channel, right? And just so that I could just give a bit of context, marketing is everything we do to get people to know us, like us, trust us. Sales is converting this KLT factor into business, into cash or money in the bank, right? So ultimately, any business that's going to grow has to get more people to know you, like you, trust you, because your business wouldn't fail because of the people that you didn't close. It will most likely fail because of the people that you never spoke to, right? If you meet me and you want me to buy something from you, it might not be the right time for me. I might not have the money, the time, the interest, right? Or I might not have one or all of those things. But what is clear is that if you talk to many people, you would find certain people to whom those 3 things align, right? They would have the money, they would have the time, they would have the interest, right? So the idea is every time somebody buys something from you, those 3 things have to align. And because we are not God and we do not control the universe and do not control the hearts of men, we are not absolutely certain that it is the time of anybody where all those 3 things will align. So we have to spread our net, we have to talk to as many people as we can, and then we have to use as many channels as we possibly can. Like I said, there are 11 of them. Maybe we could put the link to that here so that you probably watch it. But if you're within our community, by the way, if not, I mean, find all the different channels and every month look at where business came from, attach it to a particular channel so that you see what channel has worked and see what channel could work for you, going forward. Next is repeat and referred sales. What does this mean? How many people that are buying from us have bought again, assuming we have products that they need to buy again, right? How many people have bought again? How many people have told a friend to buy from us? Now, the reason why I like people to measure that, because I think that it's the ultimate measure of customer experience, right? That when somebody buys from you, and they are excited about the experience enough to tell somebody else or to come back again, that's a good thing. That's an amazing thing. And that's something you need to start to measure, right? Because if people buy from you, customers oftentimes can be fooled twice, right? They buy from you. If the product isn't good, then they're not coming back. The product might be good. If the customer experience isn't good, then they're not coming back. So every time people come back or they tell other people about you, it's a vote of confidence to the customer experience, the experience that you've taken them through and how enjoyable it is. So if we see not a lot of people buying or referring, it tells us that the experience that people have with our products, with our service, and the likes isn't as good enough as it should be, right? That's the truth. So you want to make sure that you are checking how many people are buying again, how many people are telling their friends, because that is proof that, we're doing a great job with the experience that they're having with us. In fact, if you do that often, you would realize that the intensity of communication with your customers before they buy should be as energetic after they buy. Because most of us have high amount of intensity of communicating with people before they buy. And when they buy, our communication just goes down, But if you keep communicating with them after they buy, then you're able to unlock, a certain amount of referrals or repeats, sales. 6th thing that is important for you to measure is operational efficiency. So as success happens, what happens is it puts a weight on our operational efficiency, right? So the easiest way is to say, look, if everything you prayed for happened, would you be able to handle it, right? And the best way I always like to communicate this is that I say that there's a difference between preparing to grow and preparing for growth. Preparing to grow is all the marketing, all the messaging, all the gimmicks, and all the techniques that you use to get the customer to your doorstep and get the money. Preparing for growth is to be sure that when they pay you, you can deliver the service that you promised, So maybe you say, okay, I make, clothes, you get your clothes in 72 hours, right? And it was nice when you were only having to do 10, 20 clothes. Now, 5,000 people are at your doorstep. Some people haven't gotten theirs in 6 months, right? So the question is, every single time as the business grows, as things expand, we need to start to check our operational efficiency to see, can we still deliver on what we are doing? I mean, we had a real estate client at some point who, I think they were doing 7-day allocation. So you pay and in 7 days you get allocated. And I said, okay, that's good. So how many people do you guys owe? There about 10, 20 people in a month. I said, okay, that's good. What would you do if there were 300? Because, you do a 7-day allocation in an industry where some people don't allocate land for months or even years. And if it works out, a lot of people would come to you. So the question is, if 300 people or 3,000 people or 5,000 people come to you, how are you going to allocate them? Right? Now, we're not saying you should go and overstaff. We're just saying that every single time, make sure that the corporate structure you have can carry, at the very least, your next level of growth. So you're dealing with 20 people, 30 people now. Good. Can we staff enough to be able to handle 40 people? You're dealing with 40 people now. Can we staff enough to be able to handle 60 people? Because what's worse than no customer at all is an angry customer. An angry customer would do damage to your business in ways unimaginable. They'll tell people about your business who would tell other people. And at the end of the day, those people that are telling other people have no experience with you. Never experienced you, but they already have strong opinions about you, negative, strong opinions about you, and they've never even met you, right? So you want to keep yourself away from angry customers. Next, 7th thing that I think we need to measure is cash flow management, right? Cash flow management. In business, you would always need money. Money will be coming in and out of your business. Your account will be bustling, right? And everybody here who's been in business knows what I'm talking about. I mean, you have that big deal, 5 billion in your account, and you're happy for just 5 minutes, right? Because 5 minutes later, it might still be there, but now you can see where everything is going. So you want to manage cash flow properly. Ensure that the business always has as much money to keep going. Sometimes we're in a phase where we're expanding and, we're having to spend a lot of money. Just try to make sure that you're not broke, right? Because when a business is broke, we make terrible decisions. If a business has little to no cash, you make terrible decisions. You buy things that are more expensive than you should because the person knows that you don't have, if you needed to make a 10 million down payment and you end up making a 2 million down payment, you might maybe pay for longer, have more, and acquire the capital at a much more expensive rate, and the likes. So you want to make sure that you're managing all your suppliers, managing all your vendors, ensuring that at any point in time, you're able to meet your cash flow obligations. You're able to meet your payment obligations rather. It's very, very important that you're able to do that, because flow is like blood in a human's body, much like blood to a business. So if you think about the human being, I mean, big dreams, great dreams, going somewhere to happen, you're making a difference, it's changing the world. But if you have no blood, that future and you are not going to see each other, right? So it's very important that we ensure that we always have blood to run in our business. So money should never run dry. You should figure out a way to always be able to meet your obligations. So sometimes that means having a very special relationship with the person that runs your account, if it's not you, and it shouldn't be you, and ensuring that we're all, projecting, and we're looking at our numbers to ensure that at every point in time, the business can meet its obligations, right? So having said that, the final thing that we need to measure is capital, and, our ability to raise capital. So the way I think about it is, how much money could you raise in 90 days if you had to? And the reason why I'm paying attention to this is that if you're paying attention to your, because if you run a business, no matter what kind of business you run, if the business is going to expand, it's going to require more money than you have. That's the truth. That's the truth. It's going to require more money than you have. There's no how on the face of the earth that you would always have enough money for your business if it's a growing business. I know some of us, like to say things like, "Oh, I'm going to build my business without borrowing." Well, I mean, I'm not the person that would tell you that you shouldn't, but I think that if every single time you have enough money to do every single thing you want to do, then you're doing too small, right? Your dreams are small. You're operating below capacity. You should find a big project that would stretch you, that you would almost die in, and you would not die, right? So, and I always tell people that, capital is really about the cost of capital. That's what it is. If I borrow 2 billion naira from a bank and my payment schedule says I should pay, I don't know, 20 million a month, perhaps, 20 million a month, or whatever it is, right? As long as I keep making that payment, which is, principal, interest, and everything, as long as I keep making that payment as at when due, I'm a customer to the bank. I'm not a debtor. In fact, I am a powerful customer. The bank is making money off me. I only become a debtor when I stop paying, and I stop paying beyond reasonable doubts. Good reflection of your network. The saying is absolutely true, that your network is your net worth, right? There are people, if you need 500 million naira now, do you have 5 friends, 10 friends that you could call? If you don't, you have the wrong friends, and you are also the wrong friend. Right? So it's important. And this is what I tell people. Sometimes build those relationships, get into those places. Don't go there and ask people for money. Build relationships. And as you do that, personally, I'll tell you a couple of things. Personally, I sometimes have some money that I keep. And I keep that money because I'm hoping that at some point I would have a particular friend who says, "Oh, Ezekiel, I need like 10M. Can you quickly do that?" And I would send it to them, because you see, trust is built inside of that type of transaction. It's not you're drinking with somebody, you're talking with somebody, both of you are hanging out in the club. You're not real friends yet until money has entered into the transaction and you're not fighting, right? So if you're able to give somebody that kind of thing, and then, they return it back to you, and then someday they need something and you're able, that's the way it is. We heard 2 billionaires at some point, they were in a bit of a scuffle, and one of them said, some time ago he needed 300 million, he asked me for it, I gave it to him. I'm like, that's the kind of friend you want to have. You're asking for urgent 2K, someone's asking for urgent 300 million. So you want to always upgrade your network, because upgrading your network means that you can access a lot more money than you have in your pockets. And that's the secret of wealthy people. It's not in the amount they have in their pockets. It's in the amount they can access by virtue of the relationships that they have. Relationship with bank MDs, relationship with friends, with colleagues who are even working that have high level cash flows. The point is, you have to be able to raise money. If you're building a real business, it's always going to require much more than the business has. It's like having a child. A child doesn't get cheaper. Doesn't get cheaper at all, right? So you want to keep going in there. So those are the 8 things that I believe you should be recording, you should be tracking, you should be trying to analyze, that should be forming the basis of how you make decisions in your business. I trust that if you do this, you'll have a better business, you'll have a bigger business. And I hope that as you grow your business, we'll meet down there on the streets and maybe you can get into a mastermind, maybe we can work together, or maybe we're already working together. In that case, I'll say thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.